Hello everyone, this is Pet Crochets. Welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd do a fun, silly little video on how I crocheted this cute little pouch. I crocheted this for a Tamagotchi I got recently. If you guys know what a Tamagotchi is, please let me know in the comment section below. This was basically my entire childhood. During the summer times, we would go to Japan for summer break, and I remember the very first Tamagotchi I ever got. My aunt had brought it for my brother and I, and we spent the entire summer playing with it. And then every new generation that the Tamagotchi came out, my mother would always go out and get us the newest edition. So it was so nostalgic, I had to buy one. I actually ended up getting the Tamagotchi Uni one as well, and I'm still playing with it. It just makes me feel like a child again. Let me know what your favorite Tamagotchi version was. For me, it's definitely the TamaConnect. That was where you could take the two Tamagotchis and connect them together and play with someone else. I just remember, everyone in Japan, all the neighborhood kids, we all had our Tamagotchis hanging around our neck and running around, so it was really nice to kind of just go through memory lane as I was opening this, and I thought it would be cute to crochet a cute little pouch for it. I was hanging this pouch with my Tamagotchi in it off of my purse basically the whole summer. This pouch, of course, doesn't have to be just for the Tamagotchi. It's a really cute pouch you can use for gifts. You could put jewelry in, you can make it bigger even, maybe make it a bag, I don't know, it's so cute. You can also use the embroidery cherry designs for other projects as well. Just a cute little project, and I thought it would be fun to share. Here I'm just opening up the Tamagotchi. This is the Tamagotchi Gen 2. Because this is the earlier version, it doesn't really do much. So you basically feed it, you clean it up, bathroom, there's 2 games that you can play. It's basically like having a little virtual pet. And I'm just going to open it up real quick. So basically you're just trying to keep it alive and you watch as it evolves into different Tamagotchis. I believe they say that these are aliens, so you're basically hatching the alien from the egg and raising it yourself. Then once it reaches a certain age, you kind of start over again. For the newer Tamagotchi generations, you get married. There's obviously more games, you can buy things. The one that I have now, you can decorate your room. It's so much fun. I love it so much. I actually forced my husband to buy one as well so we could play games together. Before we get started, if you like my videos and tutorials, support my channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I have many more crochet videos and tutorials on the way very soon. Let's get started. As I was making this little pouch, I was also refamiliarizing myself with the Tamagotchi. So the first thing you do is you set the date and the time, and while that's happening, the egg is kind of just getting ready to hatch. So you're just waiting for the egg to hatch. So here I am just setting those details in. And here's my egg. So now we just wait for the egg to hatch and for the little baby alien to come out. For this project, I'm using a 3.25mm hook. And this is a yarn. Unfortunately, this yarn is discontinued. It's a weight 3 tencel yarn. It's the same yarn I used for my Stevie Nicks skirt and corset top. However, you can use any size hook and any size yarn you'd like. I'm starting off by just making a long chain, and I want this to be long enough that it can cover my Tamagotchi, and also a few stitches below the Tamagotchi for the bottom, because we're going to make the bottom more cinched in so it's easier to seam, and then enough stitches at the top that'll cover it all the way. Once it is my desired length, I'm doing 1 extra stitch for the turning chain, and now I'm going to go into the second chain from the hook and start doing single crochets. From here, you want to determine how much you want for the bottom portion or the cinched portion of this little pouch. I decided to go around 3 stitches before the end of the row, and I'm going to single crochet down to those last 3 stitches. For these 3 stitches, I'm doing slip stitches. So instead of single crochet, doing slip stitches. And this will make it so that the pouch kind of cinches in more at the bottom. Here's my little Tamagotchi now. So the egg hatched, and this is this little alien baby blob that you get. So the first thing you need to do is to feed it. So I'm feeding it some hamburgers, and then in order to bring the happiness bar up, you can either play games or feed it some dessert like cake. Okay, so now back to my little pouch. We're doing 1 more slip stitch, and we're now at the end of the row. To start the next row, we're going to chain up 1 and turn, and since we did 3 slip stitches at the end, we're now going to start with slip stitches. And now I'm going to be doing back loop only. So for the remainder of this project, we're only working into the back loops. So I'm doing 3 back loop only slip stitches. If it helps, you can also use some sort of stitch marker to mark off where you end these slip stitches and start these single crochet stitches. Now I'm at these single crochet stitches, so I'm going to be doing back loop only single crochet stitches all the way down. Doing the back loop only will give it this nice ribbed effect. And this is basically it. It's such a simple pouch, so we're just going to keep repeating this row, making sure that at the bottom we do the slip stitches, and then for the top we're doing the single crochet and only working in the back loops. Once this is your desired width, we're now ready to seam up the side, so I'm going to pick up where I left off, and I'm placing my hook into the stitch on the other side of the panel and doing a slip stitch. Now I'm going to go into the very next stitch and then go into the following stitch on the other side, pull the yarn through, and then do a slip stitch. So we're seaming this up by doing slip stitches all the way down. Make sure that you're going into both sides of this panel. So keep doing these slip stitches until you reach the top of the pouch. I've now finished seaming up the side and I've reached the top. Now I'm going to chain up 1. I'm at the top of the pouch, and there's no clear stitch to go into, but I'm going to go in and do 1 single crochet. And now I'm going to skip approximately 3 stitches wide, and I'm going to do 5 double crochets into the next space. We're creating the shells at the top of this pouch. Again, because there's no clear stitch to go into, you're just going to eyeball it and make sure this is as evenly spaced out as you can make it. Once you finish the 5 double crochets, you have a little fan stitch. You're going to skip around the same amount of stitches or around the same amount of space, and into the next available stitch, do a single crochet. And then repeat this pattern all the way down. So now that we did a single crochet, we're skipping X amount of stitches or spaces and doing another fan stitch or 5 double crochets. When you make it all the way around, to end this row, we're going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet stitch that we did. Then you can just chain up 1, cut the yarn, and pull it through to secure. And that will end this shell row at the top. Now all we have left to do is to close up this slip stitch cinched portion. First you're going to turn this pouch inside out, and I just took a darning needle and put some yarn on it, and I'm weaving the darning needle kind of back and forth like so through all of those stitches at the bottom. So you see how I'm kind of weaving it inside and out? And then I'm pulling the yarn through, and I'm going to continue doing this all the way around. So weaving it from the front to the back to the front and the back over and over again, and then pulling the yarn through. Once you reach the end, you're just going to pull it tightly, and I just knotted the ends like so. And then afterwards, with the darning needle and the remaining yarn, I'm just securing this a little bit more by weaving this in and out through the bottom of this little pouch. Just like so. I have no rhyme or reason how I did this, I just want this bottom portion to be very closed up and secure. This will also weave in those loose ends. At this point, the pouch is completely done. Here I am just testing it for size. And you just want to determine where you want the tie for the top of the pouch to be. At the same time, I'm also figuring out where I want to do the placements for the cherries. So let's start off with embroidering the cherries first. This is just some embroidery floss that I have. I chose a red one. I'm going to determine where I want to place the cherries first. So I want to place my next 2 cherries here. I'm going from the inside of the pouch outward and pulling this embroidery floss through. You want to make sure that you don't pull it all the way through and you leave a little tail at the end like so that we could tie it up later. Now I'm just going to hold that end and I'm going to basically make a little cross. So I'm making a vertical post first, and then going back in and making a horizontal post that is around the same size as that original post. However big you make this little cross section is going to determine basically how big the cherry is. So I wanted mine fairly small. So here is my horizontal post, and that will create a little plus or a cross. Now once again, we're putting the darning needle from the inside of the pouch and moving outward. I'm going to place it close to the center of this cross, right next to one of the vertical posts. So I'm placing mine right here, right next to that top vertical post, as you can see. And I'm pulling the embroidery floss through. So this is what we have so far, and now I'm placing my darning needle underneath that first vertical post section. So I'm going under that loop, skipping over the horizontal post, and then for the next half of that vertical post, I'm going under that piece of embroidery floss. And then once again, we're skipping the horizontal post and going back to the top and repeating. So you're just placing your darning needle underneath the vertical post and going round and round and round. And that will create a little circular shape. I like to flatten it every once in a while and kind of just adjust the embroidery floss as I go so it doesn't stack up in a weird way and it creates a nice circular shape. So you're just once again going underneath just the vertical posts and skipping over the horizontal posts. You're basically just going to keep doing this until you can no longer see those horizontal or vertical posts, and this is a nice circular shape. As it's going, you kind of want to just guide the embroidery floss and shape it as you go, and when you're all done and happy with how it looks, you're going to take the darning needle, place it right through the center, and pull it to the back. Then you're just going to repeat the same steps all over again for a small second cherry. As you go along and finish the cherries, you also want to flip this inside out and kind of just knot and tie those loose ends and trim them. So here I finished my second cherry, and I'm just quickly showing you guys how I do the stem. So I'm pulling the embroidery floss from the inside out again, from the top of one of the cherries. Then I'm pulling the yarn slightly diagonally to the center of the two cherries and pulling it through. Then I'm putting it in back from the inside and then doing it again, just so it's a little bit thicker. So from the top of the cherry and then pulling it through to around the center between the two cherries for the stem. So there's one stem, and then from that midpoint, you're going to pull the green embroidery floss to the top of the other cherry, and then once again, do it twice so that it is nice and thick. To finish this off, I'm just adding a little stump at the top by pulling the green embroidery floss through the top of the stem and weaving it in and out a few times, just so it creates a cute little knot. And then here I am just kind of knotting those loose ends together, and then once it's nice and secure, I like to knot it maybe 3 or 4 times, then I'll trim the ends. I'm using a bigger yarn just to show this a little better, but for the tie portion, you're just basically making a really long chain. You want this long enough that it can tie around the top of the pouch, and also I wanted the ties to be nice and long, so just keep making the chain until it is your desired length. And then wherever you want the cinched tie portion to be, I actually ended up going a little bit lower than what I'm showing here, but you just want to weave this in and out through the top portion of your pouch, just like so. Here I'm just showing you guys how I went down a little bit lower than the top of the pouch, and I'm using that same yarn for the tie portion. And this part is completely optional, but you can add a pearl bead like I did to the ends, or you could just simply knot the ends of the ties once it's on so it's nice and secure. Once I have that pearl bead on, I'm just knotting the ends and weaving in all of the loose ends. And that's basically it for this pouch. It's so quick and easy to do. It's really cute. The longest part honestly was just trying to figure out how to embroider the cherries, but once you got that down, it's very quick. I think this would be a really cute gift bag idea if you're gifting someone a jewelry piece or a Tamagotchi or anything small. I think it's so adorable. You can also try making a bigger version and turning it into a bag using a bigger hook, bigger yarn. There's just so many endless possibilities of how you can use this. Also, the embroidered cherries are so cute. I might actually make a sweater or a top using that same embroidery pattern, but you can put it on basically anything. I think it'd look adorable. Okay, you guys, so this concludes this mini tutorial for this little pouch. Let me know in the comment section below if you do decide to make this and what you decided to use it for or what you put inside. I'm curious. If you guys like my crochet patterns, videos, and tutorials, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more crochet content on the way very soon, so stay tuned. Halloween is also on the way, and I'm trying to think about what my crochet costume should be, so if you have any ideas, leave them down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye everyone!